Hello everyone, so here we go. This accordingly, like I have said, is going to be the wrap of our topic, okay, on classroom management, particularly on teachers and learners' roles. And this last phase will be focused on the learners' roles and responsibilities, okay? And before we delve into that, I just would like to remind you again that classroom management has to be considered like a tango, all right, between the teacher and the learner so that the smooth flow, okay, and the smooth environment will be established among participants in the classroom and even when it comes to the classroom atmosphere. And that, of course, will eventually yield positive behavior and even responses from among the people in the classroom. Okay, so here we're looking into the classroom management in the perspectives, all right, of the learners. Like, what do you have to do as learners in order to participate or to contribute in making the classroom flowing and even working smoothly, all right? So the first point here says that creating a worthwhile classroom environment for learning is not a lone man's job. Meaning to say, it's not the teacher's one army role. Okay, the teacher does not have to do this alone because there has to be somebody else. There have to be more participants. All right, and those are no other than you, the learners. While the teacher is tasked to formulate a classroom management plan to facilitate the development of an effective learning environment, the learners also have an obligation in the development of a quality learning environment. So always remember that. The teacher, of course, has to, like it has been pointed here, formulate, all right, or to plan, okay, ahead of time or even at her own initiative, the things, the do's and the don'ts. And then later on, to make it more effective, the learners have actually this obligation, okay, the duty or the responsibility in materializing all these plans. Because if it remains to be just plan, then definitely it might fail. There has to be that consciousness and even that equal responsibility coming from the learners in order to make these plans and even the rules and the task and obligation set forth by the teacher be realized. Okay, and another point here says that in addition to complying with posted rules, all right, what is expected of learners? Well, it is expected of you, of them, to respect, all right? Whom should they respect? Of course, the self and others. And eventually, this will make them meet all behavioral and academic expectations. Very importantly, let's not underestimate what really respect does, okay, when it comes to relating with ourselves and eventually with others. Once we establish that and it became really a conscious part, okay, of our being, then definitely it will manifest to others, and then that will yield a very good relationship. And then, of course, what does that do? Definitely behavior and academic relations and expectations with others and with our teacher will as well be established. So always remember that, okay? Now we move to the first point under the learner's roles. So that is comply with behavioral expectations. What do you have to do here as learners? Well, you have to strive to comply with all behavioral expectations. The striving here does not just require you to follow just because it is required. However, you have to make it an intentional decision. Okay, it has to thrive from your inner being that you commit, okay, with whatever rules, whatever expectations are set by your teachers. Behavioral expectations that are verbally outlined and posted as part of the classroom management plan should be incorporated into each child's daily routine and life skill set. And how does the teacher do this? definitely, if the teacher is very how do you call this, specific, and makes it clear at the onset of the class or the course or the session, then the learners will definitely be obliged, okay, to comply, all right, or to submit and to eventually be obedient of the rules and regulations. Each learner deserves access to quality educational environment. Definitely, that is actually the privilege of having education and of being in this type of setup that we are in. But unless each learner endeavors to contribute to the development of that environment, then definitely that kind of environment won't exist. You know, quality, all right? When we say quality, it does not just root from the teacher. It has to be, how do you call this? Also be contributory to how the learners participate. You know, because no matter how intelligent, smart, or how productive and how efficient the teacher is, to his or her knowledge, if the learners do not cooperate, do not have that interest that is innately coming from within them, then definitely they won't be able to grasp or to appreciate and have a good catch of whatever the teacher is sharing. So it's important here in this point that to realize, all right, or in order to really experience the quality educational environment, you have to participate. You have to make your responsibility. You have a share, okay? You have a share in the pie, okay? A quality educational environment exists only if, okay, all learners make an attempt to comply with all behavioral expectations. Definitely, all right, if we were to get back to our younger years in education, particularly our foundation years, we were not just graded with how we do in tests, all right, or how we do during recitations, but we were actually looked after, okay? How we behave, how we treat others, or how we even treat our teachers. Our teachers, not just inside the classroom, but even other teachers outside of our subjects or our classroom. And that these all make up to a quality educational environment, because we're not just raising here breeds of intellectual giants, you know, but uh, without how do you call this, moral standards, or yeah, moral and behavioral standards. But most importantly, what education wants to establish is the quality of education per se and the quality of human being, because we want the society to become a humane society. That is a very reason why that serious and intentional decision, okay, to comply with all these behavioral expectations really make that integral effort, okay, to experience, all right, what we call quality educational environment. So whose task it is to do this? It's not just the teachers, but it's also the learner's task, okay? So we move on to the second, and that is to comply with academic expectations. So a while ago, it's more of the behavioral expectations. In here, it is imperative. When we say imperative, it is expected. It should be natural, all right, that learners strive to comply with all academic expectations in the classroom. This is not only for the benefit of the individual learner, but also for the benefit of the entire class. You know, collaborative learning environments in the form of partner or group work, these usually necessitate a contribution from each learner, all right? And if learners are striving to meet all the academic expectations, then they will prepare outside assignments and study so that they can make a viable contribution to a collaborative environment. So what we encourage here in complying with academic expectations is not solely to build a particular learner, however, to build one with another or another with others. So it's a maximum perspective, all right? So everybody in the boat is actually given that attention, okay, in order to strive or to thrive, all right? And in here, what we want to establish is a collaborative learning environment. And this usually just just happens when, you know, these kind of environments usually exist if the teacher would encourage learners group mechanics, okay, and even dyads or paired works. And in here, we facilitate, okay, or we make sure that you just don't work inside the classroom, but you also have that space or the privilege and the opportunity to work outside the classroom and come up, all right, with a constructivist input to the learning environment. So this is what complying with academic expectations does. And the third is show respect. Again, showing respect for self and others is one of the most important things a learner can do to contribute to a quality learning environment and to reducing, all right, disciplinary distractions. You know, if only we don't take this for granted, this virtue of respect, it should be a very peaceful world and even a very peaceful learning environment. Simple actions, okay, would manifest what the respect is, such as what, okay? It could be like waiting until you are recognized to speak because someone is yet delivering his or her point or thought in class. And then you raise your hand before speaking, okay? That actually demonstrates self-respect and respect for others. You just don't stand and then you blab or you tell whatever your thoughts are. If someone is still on the process of wrapping up or finishing his or her point, definitely that's disrespectful. Okay, another would be you have to be attentive, you listen, you refrain from interrupting when others are talking. Okay, usually this kind of a phenomenon or instance happens in the lower grades. But eventually, as we grow up, we become conscious, all right, that it is actually disrespectful if we interrupt someone or if we barge in the moment someone is actually enjoying his or her moment of speaking, something like that. And this actually is not showing respect at all. You know, because showing respect for others will reduce disruptions in the classroom. Again, if that first thrives in the individual learner, and if everybody actually practices it, then definitely it's gonna be a less disruptive class and a smooth flowing class. Okay, that's showing respect. And definitely another role that the learner should always observe is to be punctual. Definitely don't be late. All right, you have to be early or on time. You know, because being tardy to class can cause a major disruption for all learners in the class and then negatively impact the academic progress of the learner who is tardy. Of course, well, if we were to bring ourselves back to the warm body present type of schooling, I mean face-to-face, if somebody comes in late, you know, the flow of discussion, the flow of activity would have to be disrupted because the teacher has to attend to that latecomer, ask the reason why he's late, and then explain again what's going on, or perhaps how do you call this, just to accommodate that learner, the teacher has to go back to square one, all right? And usually, or if the teacher is just that very strict and does not care about repeating things over and over again, then how do you call this, the disadvantage, most of the disadvantage definitely is actually on the latecomer. You know, because he's already late, definitely he's up to missing, okay, most of what has been discussed already, and he has to cope with what's going on in the class. All right. You know, when a learner is tardy, he enters the classroom after instruction has begun, and the attention is drawn away from the teacher to the door when the learner enters the class. Instruction is halted momentarily while the learner finds his desk, settles in, and the teacher catches the learner up to the current point in the lesson. Just as what I am telling. And additionally, information that was missed as a result of being tardy is not always completely conveyed in the catch-up period. It's already up, of course, to the latecomer, you know, to make up for his tardiness. Okay, if for example, the latter parts of the discussion or the instructions won't really give him a clear grasp of what the thing is going on in class, then he or she has to make it a point that he does other means in order to catch up. Okay, that is what is being told in the last statement. So don't ever be late. All right, you know, there's always an advantage to being early. It's cliche. It sounds already you know, a tautology, but indeed, early birds catch early worms, and you have that advantage. All right, so here are additions to what you can do, all right, in order to make better your being a student or a learner in the classroom. And these add-ons would usually be of your advantage, okay, and will definitely make up to your academic performance if you, of course, accept it and embrace it and make it a part of your routine and eventually make it a part of your system. First is contribute to class culture and accountability. Each class should agree upon classroom norms, okay? When learners are invited to provide input in classroom rules, they are more likely to hold each other accountable. Let's say for a teacher, that could mean less teacher-to-learner directives and more peer-to-peer course correction. That is the reason why, again, this has been told so much already since the start of our course, no? One way to really facilitate discipline or, how do you call this, behavior in the classroom is to let the students become participants of establishing rules and regulations. And in here, the blame will not always be thrown against the teacher if it's hard to comply with, but instead the responsibility and the accountability will be from among, all right, from among the learners. And it's short of saying that if the learners were contributory to the classroom culture and accountability, then definitely they will be conscious and they will be, you know, checking each other if someone is apt to making the mistake or the error. And in here, of course, the consciousness, all right, or how do you call this, your ability to know exactly what the rules are, and your ability, okay, to avoid it, okay, when it's about to happen, will definitely make a classroom more appealing and more smooth flowing. All right. Another would be you have to be inquisitive. When we say someone is inquisitive, you have to ask questions. Okay, you have to be questioning. But questioning is not connoting a negative impression, huh? It's not like you're sounding to be more intelligent already than your teacher, or it does not actually even sound like you're challenging your teacher. Those aren't the stuff being pointed in being inquisitive. It's actually you probing or you asking questions out of curiosity because it sounds to you like something isn't clear, or it sounds to you like something is interesting. Okay, that's the reason why you ask question. And you want to train your mind, okay, to actually develop more or something else from the topic. That is the reason why you ask questions. Okay, so the very root of asking question or being inquisitive should be because of curiosity. All right, and teachers, of course, should validate this and allow learners input to influence experiential lessons throughout the class. Asking questions benefits everyone. Of course, if learners, all right, would ask questions, then definitely that will make the lessons more comprehensive, and then the sharing will also be more how do you call this, um, broader. Okay, it will become broader, or it will become more interesting, because if you have tickled the curiosity of a learner, then it might as well also tickle the curiosity of others when the answering period already comes. Okay, so that's being inquisitive. And being inquisitive also would encourage, all right, creativity in the classroom, and it will make the environment really more, how do you call this, contributing. Okay, everybody else would have the interest, okay, to also find an answer to questions being raised from others. That is the reason why teachers have to validate this. And teachers should not snub students, or should not put to bad record students who are asking questions, because this is actually a very important thing he or she has to consider and encourage among his or her students. All right. So another would be, you take personal accountability. Learners, of course, should always acknowledge that they are a part of a learning community. So if you are actually with, okay, a group of people, you're this, and then there are other else around you, or sometimes you are with how do you call this, with people. All right, so each person is responsible for taking ownership of their actions in a way that values building safe and positive classrooms. So you should not be that delinquent one. Otherwise, the classroom would be disrupted or interrupted. You have to be, how do you call this, a participant in the classroom whose intention is to build harmonious relationship with others. And that starts with the self. All right, you own it first, to become pleasing, or to become participative, okay, in order to actually make that happen. Learner accountability encourages learner learning, okay, and helps improve academic performance and achievements. Of course, if you are already able to establish personal accountability, and you establish good relationships with your classmates or with anybody else in the classroom, then definitely that will encourage academic performance and achievements on a higher ground. All right? And I think this is the last. Instead of 3, that should be 4th. Okay? Be active participants. All right? Learners should come to school prepared to participate. Full engagement maximizes opportunity for learning and sets the tone for the classroom. This includes, but definitely it does not limit it here, to asking and answering questions and completing in class assignments and consistently aligning behavior to classroom norms. You just don't go to classrooms, of course, as recipients of learning, no? You have to also contribute or to participate, so that at the end of your journey, you just didn't learn, but you actually made someone or made other else learn from you. You know, because learning does not just come, and it's not just limited from the teacher. Okay, this can actually come from you as well as the learners. All right, so you have to also remember that by taking the responsibility or the courage to participate in classroom, you are not just helping yourself express or gain confidence or establish confidence, but you are training your mind, okay, to think better, to do better, and then eventually, if you do that consistently, okay, and if you do it because of the desire to really learn, to learn more, and to share learning, then it might as well give you the benefit or the advantage of being one of the honor rolls in the classroom, okay? And, you know, by being participative, it does not mean that you are an attention seeker. By being participative, we have to always put our attention to its connotative meaning, which is to to build ourselves, okay, our confidence, our higher order thinking skills, and of course, even our life skills and our relationship skills with other people. All right. So always remember that these, of course, are what you can do in order to help the classroom environment be established smoothly and to help yourselves become better individuals in the classroom and to experience, all right, quality educational environment. And definitely do not discount, okay, the possibility and the probability that you can actually become more and you can become smarter if you take all these responsibilities and roles to heart. Okay, so that's it to wrap up everything under our teachers and learners roles in classroom management. Okay, have a happy day and do the necessary note taking ready for your quiz, all right, in the next meeting. All right, thank you and God bless everybody.